Hey guys, I'm Norval and this is Posh Cockney TV and this is our brand new show, London After Lockdown. I'm going to take you on a tour around London to meet some of the biggest names in the hospitality industry, and they're going to tell us how they've adapted since lockdown's been lifted. On this episode, I speak to Head of Marketing at Hawksmoor, Matt Ford. I catch up with Dean Catney from Stardust London and Hotbed, and I discuss Ibiza and music with IAMSAM. First up today, I catch up with Matt Ford, who's Head of Marketing at Hawksmoor. Matt Ford, how are you?
Good to see you. How are you? You all right?
Very good, very good. So, still Head of Marketing at Hawksmoor?
Very much so, yeah. Still there. Obviously going through some odd times at the moment that we kind of sort of have gone out of our way to ensure that we come out of this in a positive light. I think there are things, particularly around the brand, that we want to re-enhance. But it's been the same for us as it has any other business in hospitality. You know, there's been no revenue for 3 months.
Yeah.
So it's been difficult, challenging, trying times. I certainly learned from it, and I think we've come out better for it.
Matt, we spoke on the podcast earlier on in the year, and you were so positive about the group. Do you still have the same energy today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the energy has always been there and will continue to be there. More so during those last 3 months, on the basis that we saw the community spirit of the team just really kind of sort of shine through. We've had Manchester have been doing campaigns to feed kids in schools. We were doing a lot for the NHS. We opened up Guildhall and Seven Dials to ensure that we were doing up to 1,000 meals a week, which obviously kept all the team working, kept them all together. That sense of community was always there. We do a lot on our internal comms via Workplace, which is just a brilliant tool for everyone just to stay engaged with each other. So yeah, it's been great. I've certainly been rolling up my sleeves, getting involved, done some stuff with the NHS.
I saw.
Which has just been, you know, you kind of have to, don't you? You feel that sort of element of being able to, if you can help in some way, then let's help. So yeah, it's been great. It's been really good. Nice to be back.
So you're a marketing expert. What
Thank you.
would you say is the key to a successful business right now in hospitality? What do they need to be doing?
I think that's a good question. I think you've seen a lot of brands have sort of repositioned themselves. You look at, Hawksmoor have done it. We introduced Hawksmoor home boxes.
Yeah.
I think the key thing is to sort of re-engage with your audience, to actually reassure them. There's two extremes. There's one extreme which is dressing up head to toe in PPE, or the other extreme is actually going, here you go, here's some communication, here's some clear lines, and some of the steps that we've taken. The government have done a case study on us, so we're just following their guidelines to ensure that everything we're doing and the steps that we're taking are ensuring that the customers and the staff's health is a priority, but also, you know, will you feel comfortable when you come to the restaurants? Yes, it feels different, but we try to negate as much as that as possible, so you can just come back and relax. When I said that brands sort of reposition, you look at Pizza Pilgrims, for instance, have changed their whole business model. They've gone from, you know, a casual dining experience, which is just simply walk in, to actually having an e-commerce platform, which and I actually had it this weekend. It's delivered through the door on a Thursday, and you make your pizzas for a very reasonable price. So brands that reposition to ensure that there's revenue coming in are those that are doing quite well. I fear for the high street a little bit, partly because I think there are so many cool up and coming brands in different areas now where there's so much choice. So we're still quite new into this, and it's quite a reactive world that we're living in at the moment. So we'll see how it plays out.
Matt, I don't know about you, but during this time, I've learned so much about myself, about what my company can do. What about you? How much have you learned?
To realise the best laid plans can change.
Yeah.
I think as marketeers, we are constantly looking to drive trends, create trends, but we're also sort of planning 3, 4, 5, 6 months in advance. I think it's being able to adapt to the changing environment is key, and not actually getting too frustrated with it. what we started 2 weeks ago with Manchester, for instance, and quite recently just gone into a sort of a mini second lockdown. You just got to adapt, got to change, got to adapt, got to evolve. And I think if you don't, then you get left behind. I think also as well the key lines for communication, particularly with my team, because my team have been back for 4 weeks. So I have brand, we have sales and digital, and we speak every Monday. We plan our weeks. We set sort of mini KPIs and goals and objectives of things that we want to achieve that week, and then we talk on a Friday. There isn't an office environment anymore, so you can't just go, oh, have you thought about this, or should we just have a quick 10-minute catch up? Do you want to grab a coffee? It just doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. So being a lot more strategic and a lot more clear with your comms it's been a learning curve for us. But yeah, we're doing well.
And what's the plans for Hawksmoor going forward? Is there expansion?
I think we were, you probably saw in the press, we were sort of 3 days away from opening up Hawksmoor, New York, when lockdown happened in America. That will rise again. It's still very much on the plans. There's a lot of blood, sweat and tears that have gone into that restaurant. A lot of great people in the company have really poured their heart and soul into it. So that will happen. In terms of another restaurant, probably not yet. Unless, of course, an amazing site pops up, but there's a criteria that Will and Hugh have to go through when it comes to new sites. So I think it's probably consolidation of where we are. Let's try and get back to the sort of numbers and the covers that we were doing post-COVID. We've launched Hawksmoor at Home, which is we're on phase 1 probably of 3 phases of a new e-commerce rollout platform, which we hope will feel like a 9th restaurant in terms of the offerings there. So it's barbecue boxes or meats, cases of wine, and I think it's actually just looking after our team and making sure that they feel comfortable in the work environment. As I said, we've had to adapt and change, but the ultimate aim of the brand is hospitality and ensuring that we offer hospitality when people come in, and that's key, because we've been on lockdown for 3 months, and you saw when we first opened. We saw when we first opened that everyone gravitated towards Borough Market, and the numbers were fantastic. And it's maintaining that, and it's in keeping that audience engaged with weekly comms. So yeah, I think the plans are still there. It might just take a little bit longer to get there.
And finally, what's your opinion on what is next for hospitality? What is the new world going to look like? What's
the new world going to look like? I think, I've touched on it earlier, being able to adapt and actually reposition yourself. We found that obviously being on lockdown, brands are more open now to, having their products cooked at home. I think the brand directors are twitching a little bit because is a steak cooked in a certain way? Should it be on a grill? I think that doesn't matter anymore. I think that element of just being able to bring hospitality to the home will continue. I think hospitality as a whole will come out of this. It'll take some time. I just hope that people behave themselves. We've seen horror stories of people gravitating towards public places. We have to understand that for hospitality to survive, brands have to adapt. But maintain their core values.
Well, I wish you all the best.
Thank you,
Hawksmoor, and I can't wait to pop in and have a steak and a bottle of red with you at some point.
Anytime.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, buddy.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers. All right, Bye. All the best.
Next up on my journey, I speak to Dean Catney, co-founder of Stardust London and Celestial Cinema, and he's also partner at the well-known brand Hotbed. Dean, how are you?
Liam, very good, sir. Thanks for having me on.
It's been a while since we've seen each other.
Yeah, well, we've been our paths crossed many times over the years, but it's been an eventful 6 months to say the least.
So how have you been since lockdown's been lifted?
It's been an interesting process the past few months, watching the industry go from literally nothing to slowly reopening. It's been interesting to watch from afar, and then of course get back in the midst of it and start doing our own things that are following government guidelines and creating new projects that we're able to do at this stage whilst everything else essentially is still pending. So that's where we're at the moment.
And you just said projects. What projects are you working on right now?
Well, we've literally just wrapped up a project that came out of lockdown, what we decided to do quite early on was using our resources and our experience and our team around us is what can possibly happen during lockdown. And you might have seen pop up quite a lot across the country was drive-in cinemas. So we decided that there isn't really anything happening in South East. There's a niche in the market here. Everyone was crying out for it. We did a few teaser kind of campaigns to see if there's any interest, and it went off the Richter scale. So we thought, let's put everything that we've got into something we can do that's going to be within government guidelines and obviously high in demand. So yeah, absolutely, we pressed forward with a drive-in cinema concept and created a brand called Celestial Cinema. It was great.
That sounds amazing. Is there plans to expand that in the future?
Yeah, I mean, off the back of a successful July period, our first drive-in series probably will return again later down the line. We'll probably look to do something a bit more substantial in 2021 with that. A lot more planning, of course. We'll be turning around the project within the space of a few weeks. It was quite phenomenal the way that we did that. So with a whole year ahead of us and planning for next year, definitely will return bigger and better for a driving experience. However, from the off-start, we knew that we wanted to create a brand that could sit alongside some other projects that we've got, winter festivals and whatnot. And we've already started planning ahead for an October series to fit in line with Halloween.
Amazing.
So we can do a horror week.
Amazing.
Which is going to be really good. So hopefully that will pop up soon and we'll be able to announce some details on the venues. We're just scoping out some niche environments at the moment. Somewhere it's going to be really cool.
So people know you, Dean, from Scintillate, Hotbed, and most recently, Stardust. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I mean, I started off my career really in the events industry, working for one of the biggest brands across Europe, so Scintillate. And you obviously recently interviewed Gary on one of your podcasts. And my experience with those guys was working more overseas than the UK. I was based over in Spain, living in Marbella, which was amazing for 5 years, and kind of built up a real, substantial network across those 5 years that kind of spanned across the world. People from all over coming into Marbella. We delved into bits like to do with Ibiza as well. So my network over that 5 year period really was quite a global one. And it kind of put, as you said, my sort of name on the map, as it were, in the events industry. So off the back of working with those guys, having a fantastic 5 years, I felt that I needed to come back to the UK and start getting my teeth sunk into stuff a bit more homegrown, which led into some great projects that I'm doing now. Obviously working with Lucy Beck over at Stardust. We both created that together last year. And that project has just absolutely been one of the best experiences of my life. To have something your own that you build from scratch in terms of, you're designing the logo, you're building the concept, you're building a team around you, and then you implement that into one of the best events of the year. It was an experience like no other. And yeah, I really always will remember that first year for sure.
Yeah, we spoke to Lucy a couple of weeks ago about Stardust. So what's next for Stardust?
Well, for us, we was full steam ahead this year for 2020, and of course COVID and the pandemic slowed everything down for us, and it's really left us in a position of uncertainty and what to do next. So we don't want to do anything half-heartedly. We want to make sure the experience is what it's built to be for, so immersive experience for the customers, and for us we kind of will keep the brand alive this year. What that looks like just yet is what we're working on in terms of venue capacity, etc, etc. But for us, it's 2021 will be the next big year for Stardust, and we will have a bigger venue, a bigger experience, and a greater event for everyone.
Do you think it's fair to say that you're the most active man on Instagram there's ever been? You're
not the first person to say that, for sure. Yes, it's got its pros and cons. A lot of people look at that as me being busy on social media, but I'm very passionate about events. I'm very passionate about the brands that I work for and the brands that we create. And I think a lot of people recognise that, and they ask the same question for that reason. So for me, I love the industry. Probably this is me for life now in terms of career. I've jumped through a few different career paths across the years, but this is what I feel like I'm best at. And yeah, it's evident on social media. I'm very active. If you don't follow me, it's Dean Catney. And yeah, I just put 110% into everything that I do. So I'm a very passionate guy with regards to the brands that we build and that we promote.
What do you love the most about London hospitality?
For me, I would say watching it evolve over the years from more so being nighttime, which was our bread and butter back in the day, but now it's definitely evolved into daytime, and you've got your brunches that have popped up over the years, and some really cool brands have developed into the brunch concept, and daytime venues that are opening, things like sort of Neverland in Fulham, where you've got sort of the beach vibe. That's going to continue building, I feel, over the next few years in and around the capital. And for me, obviously, I work alongside a brand called Hotbed, so we specialise in daytime parties across the UK and Ibiza and Marbella and beyond. So I feel like daytime partying will be the future, and for the near future, socially distanced. which is working quite well. We've done a few events already since we've been allowed to, and it's been great.
Dean, what's your biggest motivator in life? Because you seem to have so much energy, you're so positive all the time. Why do you get up every day and do what you do?
I think for me, it's just the experience that you get as an event organiser of putting on something that people talk about, and the sort of reputation that kind of not gives the event and the brand, but the organisers behind that as well. For me, that's probably my biggest drive. It's never been about money. It's never been about ego or anything. It's about people's experience and them really enjoying and talking about that event or that brand or that experience. So for me, the talk of the town, as it were, is the thing that drives me in the industry.
I've asked you what's your favourite thing about London hospitality. What's your least favourite?
I would say probably
I asked that question, sorry to cut in, I asked that question because you was a general manager at a couple of venues as well, and you saw the good and the ugly.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked in every aspect of nightlife, where it's operations, promotions, event organisers, so on and so forth. So I've seen all different areas, but for me, I think the nightlife industry and the nightclubs in particular, seeing the decline of those the past year or two, and it's not going to get any easier in the future. So I think that for me has been probably the biggest hardship, is watching the decline of nightlife in general. It's been great, obviously, for other aspects of seeing the daytime boom, but to see the nightlife industry that we first kind of got into this industry for, seeing that decline has probably been one of the biggest hardships. So it'd be good to see in the years to come that turnaround. Whether it will or not, time will tell.
Do you think you might buy your own venue very soon?
I wouldn't say very soon. It's definitely a dream, if that's what you're asking. Within the next 5 years, it would be a nice dream to have my own establishment. What that looks like, whether that's a club, a cocktail bar, a restaurant, a combination of all three, I'm not too sure. A comedy club. It's something that I'd love to do, and with people that've got around me in business in a minute, it's definitely something that's achievable for sure.
Well, one thing's for sure, it will certainly be Instagrammable, won't it?
It has to be. It has to be. If my name's to it, it's got to be Instagrammable. Yep.
Dean, thank you so much for coming on PCTV. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and best of luck.
Thanks.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.
Last on today's episode, I speak to IAMSAM, who's well known for his incredible theatrics in Ocean Club Ibiza, and we're going to speak about what's next for the music industry. Sam, thank you very much for coming on PCTV. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's great to be here, in the open, around people. It's not for once. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been a crazy time. Have you coped?
Well, it's funny. I was talking to a few other musicians. For us, it's not that different. Other than the weekends and the shows and the tours, we usually just sit at home on our own making music.
Yeah.
In a little dungeon, producing and whatnot. So don't get me wrong, it's not been easy like for everyone. But I've missed the live show. But yeah, I'm used to the lockdown thing. I don't see daylight really.
Is being a musician quite a lonely job then?
It can be in certain aspects, especially when you're touring and growing up. You miss birthdays, and when you're away, if you're doing a season, you go somewhere on your own and you're with people you don't necessarily know, and you make friends and all that out there. But yeah, it's very back and forward, and you spend a lot of time in the studio on your own or with another musician. So we're locked down anyway, so it's quite funny. Other than the live show, yeah, it hasn't been any different really.
I hope people don't mind me saying this funny story about how I met you. I believe it was a venue, we won't mention it, but I think he was underage, but he was playing percussions somewhere, and I think you came up to me and said, I'm not old enough to come to Café de Paris where I was working at the time, but when I am, please look me up.
Do you know what I actually said to you?
Go on.
I said, you were wearing girl skinny jeans. And you looked at me and was like, what? And I was like, no, it's cool, bro, so am I.
It does sound exactly what happened, yeah. Because
I specifically remember, because I think I was 17.
Yeah.
And you were like, as soon as you turn 18, ring me. And the day on my 18th birthday, I rang you.
And your success has been, since then, phenomenal. You're one of the most well-known artists right now in music. When you think of, whenever I think of like percussion or
within that side, the club, percussion entertainment, that side of things, definitely, yeah.
And how has that happened for you? How in such a short space of time have you gone so big?
I wouldn't say.
Well, you're being modest now, I think.
It depends how you look at it, really. I suppose. Well, I've been doing music full time since I was like 16, 17, and obviously I was local. And you just progress. It's not really I made the decision 3 years ago. This is what I was going to do full time. Like focus on me. I've been in other bands, and different art, work with different artists and different acts, and you always have to rely on other people. And I thought, if I'm not relying on anyone else, I can't blame myself. So yeah, I just went for it, and I just sort of set my goals. Was like, I want to be in Marbella. Went and did that, and it's funny we say about he probably doesn't mind me mentioning Rob. We like set things. We like on the phone, like after a show, when we was at a local venue to here. We had a residency for a long time when I was young, and we'd be on the phone like saying things that are going to happen. And it's funny, like pretty much all of them that we've set have happened. Like I strongly believe if you believe in something enough and you work for it, it will happen. Same with the Ocean Beach thing, with the whole Ibiza thing. If you work hard enough on something, you will get it. It's only you that's stopping you. It can't. It's not anyone else. It's like you have to go and grab it. You have to go and make that happen.
So is that more of a law of attraction thing, or a universe thing, or just spiritual?
It might be a law of attraction thing. Yeah, I always believe in like you just have to go out there and grab it. No one. You can only ask. Like you can't. You don't ask, you don't get. It's what I've always been taught. And I don't know. I think maybe people know me as another thing is I'm not. However big you get, you have to. Not saying that I'm big or anything, but you can't. You have to be humble and always. I try and be polite everywhere I go. Say thank you. And all of that, and I think that goes a long way.
I believe so. Yeah.
And I don't drink, which I think is a big thing in the industry.
You're the odd one out. You're the odd one out in the industry. Yeah.
I very much look at my job as a job. Not it is a vacation and a laugh, and I love it. But it's very like important, and it's work, and it's all. It's not just a laugh. It is you can have a drink. You go to the show, but you let loose after.
Yeah.
I just personally don't drink for a few different reasons.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to drink to have a good time, and I just think, would you be drinking in an office job? It's just however you look at it. I think that's got another reason, and I've been consistent.
Yeah.
For going back to the original, how do you think I've got there? It's been consistent, and I say this when I say to people that book me, I'm not a bongo player. I'm a session drummer essentially. I play normal kit as well. So I just decided to do the whole percussion thing because I'm a drummer, and I believe you can do better as a session as a percussionist than you can as a session drummer. It's different. When you're just working with an act, you get paid a certain fee, and you're working with someone. You haven't got your own call. You can't. Yeah, you're still working for someone. When you're with your own artist, you've either got a manager you can be with the agency, you can choose, you're very open to do what you want, and you can say yes and no to things. So it's a combination of the thing, and taking it seriously, and always taking chances, and sort of going with your gut, I think, and just never giving up. Like, it's funny, where I studied, I was in a business lecture. He was the ex-editor of Kerrang, and he just said, bands generally don't get signed from the age of 21 to 25 because people at that age are very uncertain. They don't know what they're doing. And so even if they're in a band that's really good or really successful, there's always that uncertainty. Yeah. Money, mortgage, is this right for me? And I just think I made that decision just to do music. You obviously do other things on the side. Anyone that knows any successful musicians, they're not just a musician. They have restaurants, property, this, that, and the other. They have a lot of, but it's music is their main vocation, and it's a lifestyle really as well. Like, it is a job. I say that, take it seriously, but it's a combination of that and essentially being good at your instrument, and it's a craft. Taking it to the next level. That's what I've tried to do. Yeah, and you absolutely love what you do. Yeah, I love it essentially. Yeah.
So a little birdie tells me you've been working on a bit of music during lockdown. Yeah,
a lot of music actually.
How's that going?
Well, it's going alright. It's going good. Yeah, the songs. There's quite a lot of music, and it's good music. And everyone I've showed it to, it's in the industry, has only had positive reviews. And it's just the shame with the COVID lockdown thing. There's pros and cons. Obviously, it's not any different. But I built up a big off of last year, and it was just a shame that it didn't materialise this year. It's been good because I've been able to make music and I can plan and decide what I'm doing going forward. But it was like it paused, so it was very you don't, like, anyone doesn't know what's going to happen. We don't know when it's all going to be back, and it's just adapting and seeing what we can do with if the live show comes back and whatnot. So it's just, the music, that's where I'm trying to go forward now, like properly establish myself as an artist, because I haven't got any releases out on them. Most musicians that aren't session like me would usually have music out and be a bit more, would be known for that as well, because it usually helps you build. But I've been lucky enough to be able to build with just the live show, which is lucky really. But it's because I'm all about the live show, you know, like I put a lot into it with my kit and just this, it's just a combination of things.
Yep.
But the music's where I'm trying to go. I'm not going to say too much, but.
So let's talk about Marbella and Ibiza. I mean, there's been lockdowns, there's been quarantine. You must be speaking to some of your contacts out there. How have they been coping?
So it's quiet. It's got busier. Obviously, there's the quarantine issue now. So I think they've sort of not decided the season's over, but it's what it is for this year.
Yeah.
And they're all starting to plan for a big reopening next year. That's what I'm gathering. So I'll be over there at some point, doing a few bits and pieces back and forward. I've got a few plans. Sound quite cool that we're planning actually.
Anything you can tell PCTV?
Something to do with a Jeep.
A Jeep?
Jeep.
Okay.
Yeah. And a sunset. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Nice. Keep it close to your chest.
Yeah.
So what's next for Sam?
The music, a tour next year, international shows. I'm trying to focus on the international market really now. France, Qatar, Dubai, and a European tour next year. That's what I'm planning at the moment. And the music, but it's just getting the music, with everything going on, it's just taking a bit of time to work out what's the right thing to do. That's it, it's just the music out and the tour, and obviously Ibiza next year. Obviously O Beach is delayed, Dubai to the following year. Yeah. So that was meant to be happening this end of this year. But it's just with everything going on, it's quite uncertain. But it's just music out, which I'm looking forward to, because I think people know that I produce music, but I don't think anyone takes it that seriously. I've had sync deals with different people, done bits and pieces, but these songs are, they're hopeful. You don't want to be like, but I think everyone backs their own music. You have to. I think, otherwise you have to believe in yourself. That's one thing. When I was 17 and I knew who you was, like, it's funny, like now I'm not like, do you know what I mean? Because we know each other, but when you think back, if I'd have said to my 17-year-old self what I would have achieved by the age of 25, even little things, I was talking to Rob. I remember I didn't know him. It was my first gig at a local venue, not even this one, before we got close. And a song was played, and I went up to him and said, "What's this?" And he was like, "Oh, this is SMK." And then that was I didn't know what dance music was, and then to think everything that's happened. And
this is Rob Crouch.
Yeah. He's one of my partners in production, and we friend, and like just all around good guy. Supports me a lot with everything I do. But it's just funny when things happen throughout your career. And you meet people, and you network with people, and you get opportunities to do things. You never think if you always take a step back and you're like, oh my god, like. So it's just a bit mad, like if you take a step out and think back to if I was 17 again and everything that happens. You just appreciate what it is.
So Sam, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. I love seeing your success, and keep up the good work. And I'll see you in Ibiza next year. And are you still wearing the skinny jeans, or have you put them away now?
No, I've still got them. I have a few pairs, but I've put them away now. I'm more into that baggy.
Thanks for coming on the show, Sam. It's great seeing you.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Cheers, mate. Bye. So thanks for watching Posh Cockney TV. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please subscribe below and hit the bell to be notified on future shows.